What's up my dudes, welcome to Performance Centric Exposure, where I show you exercise tutorials in an entertaining and educational fashion. Enjoy! For today's exercise I want to show you the Shaolin sit leg raise. I learned this exercise from calimove from their mobility program, and I generally think it's a great mobilization to gain some awareness of how to adduct your leg and especially activate your adductors. In a lot of mainstream fitness advice in terms of rehabilitating for things like knee pain, hip mobility, and so on, there's a lot of emphasis on things like the quads and the glutes, especially the upper glutes like the glute medius, and doing hip abduction. So if you don't know, hip abduction means going away from the midline, and hip adduction is the opposite, going towards the midline. Now, it's not to say that these approaches are bad, but there's also a lot of weakness among some people in the adductors. And while this is not an exercise that is in the right context of helping you improve necessarily your mechanics when doing things like walking, because you're in the open chain, I still think it's gonna give you a nice stretch and also help you to understand how the adductors activate in a unfavorable position. So essentially what you're going to do, I'm gonna show you from my right leg. You're going to get into this like sideline position, right? Like sexy position like this. You can actually go on your elbow, or you can go with one hand. If you go with your elbow, it's going to make it easier. If you go in your hand, it's gonna be harder. So I'm first gonna show you with the elbow down. So essentially you wanna have this opposite leg as forward as possible, like this. You don't wanna be too back forward, you wanna be in front, like this. Damn, I'm already feeling like a huge contraction and cramp in my the arch of my foot. And this is might give you a nice stretch here in the lat and the side abs. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to lift the leg that's straight all the way up, and you should feel a nice contraction here in the adductors as you lift up. And you might be very, very weak in this. It's not commonly trained in most settings, this sort of range of motion. So that's the easier version. Then the harder version would be to go on one hand and then use this one for some support to lift the leg. I already feel a crazy cramp. And then the hardest one would be to leave the other hand free and simply raise. But notice I'm compensating a bit by turning my torso slightly to facilitate that movement. Ideally you want to be completely straight, no twisting, and trying to lift the leg without moving the torso, but it's quite a hard exercise. You can do it for reps, or you can also hold the position for a couple of seconds doing an isometric, and of course you want to repeat the same on each side. But also, depending on your case and if an assessment was done on you, maybe you might have an asymmetrical prescription of doing more on one side than the other if there was a lack of adduction. Also, if you do a lot of work on pancake and middle splits, this is probably gonna be beneficial for you. Although it may not directly help these positions, you are getting your body into the opposite position, and that's also going to be lengthening the abductors, right? So here you're engaging the adductors and you're lengthening the abductors. You don't want to cause imbalances either. So I would also recommend doing these if you're into that sort of flexibility training. And that's it for the video. Hope it was helpful. Let me know how it goes and have a good one.